Everyone screams it's a plot to drop the IQ. Fighting amongst each other over rumors that don't like you. Prefer us trapped in melancholy with the wood ones of holly. Suggestions that obliterates and camouflage the folly. Attempt the mental robbery, executed sloppily. The hypocrisy, this mockery, and walk the talk with me. Put the hands up to touch the Akasha, cause you know deep down there's something bigger than your wallet.
Sweet eternal balance for all those good, true, and beautiful friends. Welcome back to Rogue Soul, where tonight talking about ticks. Ugh, gross. And the bioweapon that they probably are. Let's get into it. We've got Rogue Soul Services here for you. Go there to get everything I do, the books I have written, channeled through for you, source inspirational messages, as well as fictional trilogy, super fun to read. Receive one-on-one healing from me, tarot, past life, sound healing, spiritual channeling, and more. Or you can become a healer. I teach how to do it all, so you can learn from me as well. Everything's here at roguesoul.org. You can also go to rogueways.substack.com. Read everything, the channel messages as they come through. If you're a paid subscriber, lots of free articles about aliens, philosophy, religion, history, all sorts and more. Also just announcements of what's coming up, what you can get into with me, what I'm offering. Best place to be subscribed, rogueways.substack.com. And remember, it was just a few years ago, we had Chris Newby, K-R-I-S, Chris Newby on the show with her book, Bitten. And it was about the history of the government's testing of ticks as bioweapons and the potential deployment of those ticks as bioweapons, especially down in the Caribbean, but also potentially over there in the Northeast, where ticks happen to be usually a little bit the worst. But remember, we talked to her in that lab that they studied. The Rocky Mountain Lab is up here in the middle, right? In the Rockies up in Montana. And so really good book, really fun to read. I mean, fun and disturbing. I just mean fun as in she's a great writer. And so she does a good job of presenting what otherwise would be a pretty dull, topic into this easy to read narrative. So Bitten by Chris Newby. So we've talked about ticks before as bioweapons, not a new subject here on Rogue Soul. But we remember too that we had, what's his Noah Harari? Oh no, it was Matthew Lau, a bioethicist affiliated with the World Economic Forum and the director of the Center for Bioethics at the New York University. And he had floated at the WEF, the World Economic Forum, where all of the mega uber, bad guys, all the super villains meet, including Klaus Schwab and more. Remember, he was there floating this idea of deliberately making people allergic to red meat. He created, therefore, a counter reaction, it says in this article here, that still reverberates on social media today. Well, yeah. And this article, like many like it, kind of try to downplay it and be like, oh, people are allowed to imagine and just ask questions and think. And it's not like he's planning it or there's this nefarious group of people who wants to control your life for you. But there is. I mean, you don't have to be scared of them, but there definitely is. It's quite obvious. It'd be crazy not to see it at this point, but the World Economic Forum is one of them. And people like him, supposedly a bioethicist, doesn't know ethics and thinks it's okay to force you to be unable to eat red meat. Remember, people who get Lyme disease or other tick-related diseases often develop a meat allergy. And when they eat meat, therefore, they get sick. And I don't know if you remember this, but a few months ago, we talked about here on Rogue Soul on one of the Winning Report episodes of a man who died from eating meat. And I don't know, right? It sounds a bit much. If you know you're allergic to eat meat, why are you eating it? If you ate it and it made you kind of sick, why'd you eat so much again that your whole body shut down? But I also kind of understand how if you've been eating meat your whole life, it'd be really weird to try to figure out that you're allergic to meat now. You wouldn't maybe know what was going on. So supposedly this is one of the first people who have actually died from this allergy to meat that you get from ticks. So are ticks actually being used as a bioweapon to make you allergic to meat so that you don't eat it? Because remember when Matthew Lau floated this at the World Economic Forum, he was floating it as a way to curb climate change. He said, if people won't do what we want them to and stop eating meat, then we can make them by making them allergic. So is that what's being done to people? Did that man who died die as one of the first casualties of this war against people eating meat? Maybe. It's a crazy thing to think that eating meat is a problem for the climate anyway. Just the simplest, the law of, oh man, now I can't remember which law it is. Nothing can be created or destroyed, right? The law of conservation of energy. And it says that, right? That's a truth of science. We accept it as a truth. It's in all ways, in all times, in all places. Well, cows can't just produce carbon. They can't. It's the law of conservation of energy proves that. They can't just produce carbon. So even if you say cows are farting, it's creating so much carbon, it's bad for the environment, you have to ask yourself, where did that carbon come from? And it turns out it came from the environment. And it got placed into this food that the cow eats naturally. And then the cow turned it into food for itself and cells for itself and regeneration for itself. And then it farted out the methane and the carbon. Those things were already in existence. They just changed form, and then they changed form again. And now they're changing form again. They're not a problem for us. They're not a problem for us. So, you can't prove that there's anything wrong with cows or farts, or you can't prove that has anything to do with climate, but this is the narrative, and this is the worldview that people have adopted, and so they believe it. And so is that being done to us? It's very possible. Well, here's another piece. A peer-reviewed paper published last year in the journal, so 2025, in the Journal of Bioethics by two professors at Western Michigan University School of Medicine argue that it is, quote, morally obligatory. Morally obligatory. You must do it because it's moral. It's morally obligatory to genetically engineer ticks to spread alpha-gal syndrome, which is that allergy to meat, a permanent condition that makes you violently allergic to red meat. The paper is called, quote, beneficial blood sucking. How dark can you get? How lacking in ethics can you get? How much like a psychopath can you get? It is psychopathic to decide for humanity what they will do. It's psychopathic to take people's free will from them. There's no informed consent here, just forcefully making them allergic to red meat, sometimes therefore causing death. So it says their argument, if eating meat is morally wrong, then preventing the spread of disease that forces people to stop eating meat is also morally wrong. Scientists should gene edit Lone Star ticks to enhance their ability to carry alpha-gal syndrome and expand their range into urban environments to infect more people. I sometimes can't even believe how evil some people are, and they think they're not. They think it's good. Like all evil people, they think it's good. Is what they say is if you don't question whether or not what you're doing is wrong or evil, that's when you could be pretty sure you're doing evil, even if it seems good to you. It says they call this a moral bioenhancer. They frame releasing genetically modified disease carrying ticks as a vaccination that only infringes on your bodily autonomy rather than violating it. The distinction apparently is that a tick bit you instead of a government official holding you down and forcing in a vaccine. Like I said, there's no informed consent here. And they say it's only an infringement, not a full-on violation. Well, I declare right now it's a full-on violation because you empowered the ticks to have this disease and spread it unnaturally so they wouldn't have done it on their own. Because you then spread the ticks in a larger area and empowered them to go into larger areas, into urban areas and more, then yeah, it's an infringement. It's a karmic issue. And it is not okay. It's not morally right. It's not ethically right. Definitely not in accordance with human rights. Definitely not in accordance with universal law. So no, you don't get to, play word games and pretend like it's not a problem. You can pretend, but reality does exist. There is objective reality at the spiritual level and beyond, and you're still going to deal with the repercussions of your choices. So alpha-gal syndrome, it goes on to say, is not mild. The CDC estimates up to 450,000 Americans are already affected. Cases have surged 100-fold in the last decade. Symptoms include anaphylaxis, and there is no cure. There's no way to go back. Once you've got this allergy, you don't get to ever eat meat again. Alpha-gal cases are exploding. Across the United States, the Lone Star tick's range is expanding far beyond its historical territory, and 2 academics at a medical school published a paper arguing this is a good thing that should be accelerated, definitely not stopped, and helped to move forward. At what point, it asks, do we stop treating papers like this as fringe academic exercises and start asking whether anyone's already acting on them? Here's before 1966, the Lone Star tick range was just the South, down in Louisiana, Texas, Florida, the Carolinas, right? Tennessee. And now in 2026, it's half the country. It's the entire eastern half of the country coming right up to those Rocky Mountains. That's huge, and it's expanding. And here's the paper itself. If anyone wants to go see, it's not just someone making things up. It's called Beneficial Blood Sucking. It's published last year. Like I said, it's actually 2024, 2 years ago, revised in 2025. And so there it is for you. You can find it in journals and wherever you like. Beneficial blood sucking lays it right out. Here's the case for allowing ticks to proliferate. Here's the case for empowering them to accelerate, in fact. And so in 2019, we actually had the House of Representatives ordering the Pentagon to investigate whether ticks were once used as biological weapons. This is like, it's happened so many times. In fact, when I interviewed Chris Newby a few years ago, she was talking about how frustrating it is. Her interest in this began because she was infected by a tick with Lyme disease. And just getting a diagnosis, just trying to get it treated, just trying to get any kind of answers was a nightmare because doctors know they're not allowed to acknowledge Lyme disease. And so they don't. So it's hard. It's hard to get it, treat it. It's hard to, and then now if you've got it and you've got this meat allergy all of a sudden, how hard and confusing is that going to be? Crazy. So they're actually, ordering this to happen. Did anything come of it? No, not really. Nothing ever does because it's hidden in mystery. It's top secret. It's classified. It's bioweaponry. It's been used on populations. That violates human rights. There's all kinds of problems with why they're not going to let anyone dig into this. Right. And that's part of what her book covers and why it's so good, Bitten by Chris Newby. And you can go check out that interview that I did with her as well. Chris Newby, good luck finding it. I mean, it's there, but as you all may know by now, very difficult sometimes to find my episodes or shows, even if you know exactly what you're looking for and where you're looking for it. Funny that, isn't it? So this year specifically, 2026, ticks are particularly bad. Last year, they were particularly bad, and it's worse this year by all measures. So according to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, emergency room visits for tick bites have surged to their highest levels for this time of year since at least 2017. Now, let's just be clear. That could actually be a coincidence. Just because some psychopaths at the WEF, some people who don't care about you and don't care about the world and have no idea what their soul is, just because they've talked about forcefully injecting you with tick bites and forcing you to be allergic to meat so that you don't eat meat anymore, just because that's happened, just because scientists have published papers, just because we know the government has, in fact, been studying ticks and creating ticks that can do this sort of thing for many, many decades and using them on the public, just because we know all those things doesn't mean that that's why ticks are bad this year. And I'm really serious about that. All signs point to that's probably why. But realistically, we have to acknowledge, too, the climate is changing. And no, it's not because of cars or cow farts. It's because of the sun. It's because of the magnetosphere. It's because of cycles that far outweigh humans and cannot even be affected by humans, or at least not in the ways we think. And that's why. But it is changing. It is changing, and places are more humid or drier. They're raining more often, there are tornadoes more often, there's heat, there's volcanoes, there's earthquakes, there's all kinds of things that come along with this time period we're in with the sun and the magnetosphere and the larger cosmic setting. And so that might be why ticks are like this. We've had grasshoppers where I'm at for many years now, much higher than it ever was before. And so it's just a reality of the time we're in. So is that also why ticks are spreading? It's very likely, actually. So we don't want to jump to, the absolute place of this is for sure how it's going down. We don't know that. But we do have an idea that it could be why. And it's not a bad guess. It fits. It's logical. It makes sense. It could be that the government and or other powerful interests are trying to force you to stop eating meat, and this is how. So really bad this year. You can go see videos. You can check in with people who've been living in places for their whole lives, and all of a sudden there's just ticks everywhere and they've never seen it. People are scared. It's scary to go on a walk and all of a sudden there's ticks everywhere and you've never had that experience before. Your dog's covered in ticks and you've never seen a tick before. You know, it's scary. So you can find the videos. You can look for it if you want. I'm not going to play them here, but they're there and there's a lot of them. So we know that it's not just the CDC saying it. It's not just some of these health organizations and emergency rooms saying it. It's tons of people saying it. Ticks are bad. And Phoenix, Arizona is reporting an uptick in tick bites in emergency rooms. That's not even on that map we just saw. It's past the Rockies, right? Past over into the western United States. And they're having these upticks, no pun intended, in tick bites and emergency room visits. It seems to be an issue across multiple states. Farmers, ranchers, outdoorsmen, everyone's wondering, is Bill Gates somehow involved? And the answer is maybe. Bill Gates seems to have an interest as well in this, and we are not surprised. Also, he's interested in vaccinations and forced vaccinating people. They're comparing ticks to this forced vaccination. It's lighter. It's just an infringement, not a violation, as they say, right? So he might be interested in that. He's bought up all this farmland. He's bought up all this territory. And he also has ties with the people who have ties with the tick thing, right? Tick bites are rising, and Bill Gates may have something to do with it. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has publicly funded the genetic modification of ticks using self-limiting gene technology through the biotech company Oxitec, operating as Flitter, Flyttr Limited, and this demonstrates capability and direct involvement in engineering ticks. As always, with everything Bill Gates does, we can ask, who gave this man this power? Who said it was okay? Nobody did. He doesn't have the right to do this. He just does it anyways. This man just doesn't care about human rights or about universal law, and he'll just do what he wants. And people are like, well, he's a CIA asset and player, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't. He probably isn't. Who cares? It only matters that we at least see him for what he is, and we understand that what he's doing is not humanitarian. And again, all evil believes it's doing good. If you don't even wonder if it's wrong to spread ticks that spread this kind of disease and kill people, something went way wrong with your soul at some point. May you come back to light. And so it's sustainable, they say, to give these people these illnesses because it keeps us from having so many cows and so much methane and carbon. Here's a woman who's raised horses for 30 years in Ohio. She says the ticks are out of control. Coincidentally, Pfizer and Valneva announced Lyme disease vaccine in phase 3 Valor trials. Cause of the problem, profit of the solution. She's not the only one. Like I said, you can find tons of videos like this. You can find tons of people saying this, people who have never had this problem before, and all of a sudden it's just so bad. And again, like I said, it very much really could be the climate and the things that are shifting and changing. So that we don't want to give those people too much credit for being so evil. They might just be that evil, but also not really capable of pulling things off. It might be Mother Nature. We've seen it before where they almost want to take credit for what's actually happening just naturally. So got to keep that in our minds. But it is even more interesting and more suggestive that Pfizer and Valneva are creating these injections, these supposed vaccines for Lyme disease. How convenient is that? So we don't know. We don't know what we don't know. We don't know for sure exactly how it is, but we can point to some of these players as being at least psychopathic. Maybe they're not going to actually pull it off and can't pull it off, but they're at least lacking in that humanness, in that compassion, that empathy, in that understanding of ethics and morality. And they're willing to. They write papers about it. They talk about it on a public stage of how they'd like to force you to get Lyme disease so you can't eat meat to save the environment. They don't care about the environment. And if they do, they care about it for very different reasons than they tell you they do. They care about it so they can control it and you, not because they have compassion and love in their hearts. We can see that by what they're willing to do. Remember, you will know them by their fruits. What are their fruits? Their fruits are immoral, unethical, forceful boundary invasions over and over. And then also all the manipulation mentally and PR and media trying to make you believe something that isn't even true. Those are their fruits. So ideally, none of us are getting Lyme disease. None of us are going to become allergic to meat. It's cool if people don't want to eat meat. It's cool if people want to eat meat. It's not up to you. They get to do what they want. Been eating meat all of human history. It's okay to eat meat. Cows love to serve humanity, love to be part of that. They'd rather it be not in a horrifying way where we're not just mindlessly slaughtering them and just creating terror. Absolutely do it in ethical ways, do it in moral ways, do it in ways where the cows have a happy, beautiful life and they're full of healthy, beautiful energy. That's what it's supposed to be like. And they love serving us in that way. And I love letting them. So you may too. It's okay. You go the way you want to go. And until we heal all of ourselves and all of the world, travel well, aim for balance, and always look inside first.
Glued to them screens, it's a plot to drop the IQ. Fighting amongst each other over rumors that don't like you. Prefer us trapped in melancholy with the wood ones, the holly suggestions that obliterate to camouflage the folly. Attempted mental robbery, executed sloppily. The hypocrisy, this mockery, and walk the talk with me. Put the hands up to touch the Akasha, cause you know deep down there's something bigger than your wallet.